Hello, world, and welcome back to the Glen Alex Show, where our mission is for you to be joyful, connected, confident, and complete. The life experience we call Wellth, Wellth, which is health plus other riches. Hi, I'm Glen Alex, author of the 2021 Indie Book Award-winning Living in Total Health, clinical social worker, and the Wellth counselor. And my life's work is about health because healthy people are more genuine, are more giving, are more loving. And the physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually healthy people do not intentionally harm self or others. Please let that sink in. With so much strife in our world these days, it is the unhealthy people who are attempting to fill their voids by harming others. It doesn't work. It's going to take the healthy people, the healthiest among us, to restore respect of humanity, to restore respect to humanity. So I hope you join me on this journey in pursuit of total health, because we can do this. With that said, please help me welcome my guest, Dr. Lindsey Elmore. I am so excited. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for making time. I think you are absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
I saw you on Be Fun, Be Kind, and I'm like, I need to reach out to her because she's amazing.
Thank
and
you.
I love what you had to say about authentic wellness. So can you just, before we get into that, just introduce yourself and just tell us all of your credentials and your amazing work.
Okay, so I'm Dr. Lindsey Elmore. I'm a pharmacist who makes wellness simple. That is what I do all of the time. I believe that people deserve to be healthy, and that the first step to health is fostering that belief inside of you. You have to believe deep in your heart of hearts that you believe to be healthy. So a little bit about my background. I have originally from Birmingham, Alabama. I went to the University of Alabama, Birmingham, where I got a degree in chemistry. And then I have a doctorate in pharmacy from the University of California, San Francisco. And I have two postdoctoral residencies, one in internal medicine and one in ambulatory care. After I finished all of my training, I became a residency program director and practiced in academia for a while until I kind of started to look around and go, nobody's getting better. Like, what? I thought I was in healthcare. Why is everybody around me sick all of the time? And because I am an ambulatory care pharmacist, I was practicing in disease states that I was like, we're really doing something wrong. It wasn't like I was in oncology where it was like, ring the bell, you're done with chemo, cancer free. That's not what I was doing. What I was doing was seeing an endless stream of people with diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia, asthma, COPD. I ran an anti-coag clinic. I ran a chronic pain clinic. And it was all just like, wait a minute, why are we not talking to this person who is suffering from stress, anxiety, excess body weight? Oh, now they're here for diabetes. Oh, now they've had a panic attack a few times and now their blood pressure is permanently elevated. And I just was like, there's got to be a better way. Like, this is crap. And I recognized that there had to be a better way because of my own health challenges. When I was in pharmacy school, I tore my ACL. And when you tear your ACL, they lock your knee out in a brace. And so you're not really supposed to be bending your knee a lot until you get the ACL repaired and this and that. So because of that, every single step I took for weeks on end, I would have to hike my hip and over and over. And one day I'm sitting and studying and I realize I can't sit on my sitting bones anymore. And I'm like all off to one side. Well, I don't know where the idea, actually, I do know where the idea came to me. My insurance was so good in California that it covered chiropractic care. So I end up in the chiropractor's office and I'm like, hey, doc, I think I might die because I hadn't slept in a month. And she said, oh, you need to go to the acupuncturist for that. And so I end up in the acupuncturist's office and I recognize that there's a whole nother world of how to look at health, to look at health as of being a part of the greater universe around us. Like this whole concept of there are certain times of the year where you need additional rest. There are certain times of the year where it's going to be easier to lose weight. There are going to be certain times of the year where it's easier to manage your anxiety. I'd never heard any of this. And so I loved it. I dove into it head on. And I also, during this same time frame, met a pharmacist who is also a practicing shaman. So she'll like come to your bedside and bring you your meds, but she's also a shamanic healer. And I was fascinated with her. And I basically was just on her like a magnet. And I'm telling her everything that's wrong with my life and how my ACL's torn and my this, and she looks at me and she says, why did you need this illness? This didn't just happen. Why did you need this? And some people get offended because they feel like that's a personal, like this is your fault. But that's not what she was saying. She was saying, what lessons can you learn from this challenging experience that you are having? So I eventually left academia. I went to work for an essential oil company, traveled the world teaching about essential oils and supplements. I've been to over 35 countries, 5 continents, taught lots of places. And then I ended up becoming my own boss. And so I started my own company in 2017. Since then, I've done additional training. I'm a certified yoga instructor. I'm currently pursuing certified practitioner status with the Institute for Functional Medicine, and just really want people to be encouraged and to know that you have agency over your health. You have the capacity to take really good care of yourself. And the punchline is the thing that heals one thing heals everything. If you heal, okay, listeners, if you remember nothing else that I've said today, if you heal your chronic stress, you will heal your entire body. You will heal your inflammation. You will heal your insulin resistance. You will heal your chronic pain. You will heal your insomnia. Just stop thinking so much. Get off of the hamster wheel. And so now I teach people the importance of stress reduction, of exercise, of good, healthy sleep, of how do we really look at our diet, because there's so much conflicting nutrition information out there. And here's also the punchline that's so counter to Western medicine. There is no solution that's going to be right for every person. You know, I cannot give you every single person the same set of drugs to help with diabetes and blood pressure and all these things. But that's what we've tried to do. We've tried to make guidelines out of things where everybody fits into some sort of box. So what I encourage people to do is be your own best experiment. What makes you feel great when you wake up in the morning and you're like, wow, I'm alive, I did it? You know, what gives you that confidence? What makes you feel nourished and sustained when you eat it? What kind of exercise makes you feel good instead of like trying to maniacally go crazy doing exercise? Take care of you. And in order to get into that intuitive I know this is good for me, no matter what the news says, no matter what this. You have to quiet yourself and go, this is what's good for me. And you also just have to have the confidence to tell people, this is what's good for me.
So is that what you mean by authentic wellness? Is taking ownership of your own health process?
I think authentic wellness comes in a lot of ways. Number one, you have to be who you are. If you're constantly chasing, trying to be somebody else, living up to somebody else's design for what your life is supposed to be, you're never, ever, ever going to get there. You're going to be you're going to be miserable. Like, so you have to be yourself. You have to eat foods that you really do know make you feel good on the inside, because there's nothing, I can't give you nutrition advice that's going to be right for everybody. So if eating keto makes you feel like crap, don't be inauthentic. Don't be inauthentic. If being a vegan is not working out for you, don't be inauthentic. Authentically look at yourself and your own experiences and become quiet enough so that you can understand, this is how I feel my personal best.
Okay, so I just want to say to the audience, you see why I wanted her on the show.
Thank you.
Dr. Lindsay is just this walking wealth of wealthy information. I mean, it's just, wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what is your approach to, I know there's no one size fits all, but how do you initiate your relationship, your collaboration with your clients or patients?
So, I mean, I think part of it is just looking at what are your current symptoms? What is your body shouting at you? Because the reason that you have symptoms is because something is wrong on a cellular level. Cellular dysfunction leads to tissue dysfunction. And tissue dysfunction is what is causing your symptoms. So if you come in general, an elimination diet's a great place to get started. So if you're coming in and you're like, hey, I'm bloated, I'm constipated, I'm whatever it is, especially if it's a GI kind of thing, start it. In functional medicine, we say if all else fails, start in the gut. And the other big thing about functional medicine is that you're not trying to treat a symptom. You're really trying to get at, why does the symptom exist? And there's only a few, they're called the root causes of disease. And there's only a few of them. And you can remember them by the acronym of STAINS. And so we also look at, are stains any of the causes of what's going on with you? And the first S is the most important, stress. Stress is literally poisoning your body on every single level. It's not just bad for your mental health, it's bad for your physical health as well, because stress activates inflammation, period. Stress activates inflammation. So stress is a huge cause of disease. The next one is toxins. And so those can be either environmental toxins, such as our endocrine disruptors, could be mold in your home. It also could be drugs or alcohol, including pharmaceutical drugs, because pharmaceutical drugs cause a huge array of nutrient depletions, and especially if you're using any of the pharmaceuticals that are addictive. They are toxins. The body has to detoxify from all drugs, be they prescribed or recreational. Okay. The third one's a big one. We got to look at, is this Is this allergies? Is this adverse food reactions? Do we have an infection? Is there a chronic Lyme disease, latent Epstein-Barr virus hanging out? Another huge one, an imbalanced microbiome. If your microbiome is not in balance, you're not going to be feeling so good. Nutrient deficiencies, nutrient excesses, then sleep, sociogenomics. So this is our genes as well as the relationships we have with other people around us. And then the other root cause of disease is sedentaryism, so lack of exercise. So we look for those root causes. We also look for when did the light switch flip from feeling good to not feeling good? So we look for those triggering events. We look for what set you up for failure. These are called the antecedents. So, this is, were you breastfed or bottle fed? Were you vaginally birthed or were you a cesarean section? Did you take 6 rounds of antibiotics before the age of 3 for chronic ear infections? All of these things are antecedents that then there's a trigger and all of a sudden you're sick and you can't figure out why. And so we really dig at what's causing this. And I love an elimination diet just to calm down the inflammation in the body. I love testing for nutrient deficiencies and depletions. I mean, everybody wants to talk about vitamin D deficiency, and I'm like, yeah, y'all all also magnesium deficient, And so we need to be sure that we're looking for the overall function of the body. And so we really look at the person as a whole. Your cardiovascular system is no different than your nervous system. It's all one person.
Okay. What you just said about stains is absolutely fascinating. I had never heard that before, and I've been in healthcare for over 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And it just blows me away that if that is those are the basic root causes, then why are doctors so quick to prescribe a pill?
Well, because okay, so going way back when, there is a guy named Stanley Flexner. I think it's Stanley. It's definitely Dr. Flexner. So Dr. Flexner wrote the Flexner report back in like the early 1900s. Okay. And he said, this is medicine. This is medicine, and this is how we're going to teach medicine. This is how we are going to train physicians. This is how you are going to stay accredited as an institution. And it leaned very heavily on pharmaceutical interventions and surgery instead of what medicine had been up until that point, which was yes, surgery, but also the extensive use of herbs and supplements along the way. So Dr. Flexner writes this Flexner report, and we're 100 years in to physicians, pharmacists, nurses being indoctrinated, very literally, with curriculum that is sponsored by the pharmaceutical industry. I interviewed Gerald Posner on my podcast, and he's an investigative journalist, wrote a brilliant book called Pharma, Lies, Greed, and the Poisoning of America. And it is horrifying how physicians are so heavily compensated based on their prescribing practices, based on vaccination policies, based on this continual engagement with pharma. And the problem I have with it is I don't see that we definitely don't have long-term evidence, but on a spiritual level, I choose to believe that I was not put here on this earth to be continually assaulted with medications throughout my entire life. I don't think that that's not why we exist. We're not here to need all of these interventions. And so, I hate to put it so bluntly, but the medical institution is controlled by big pharmacy. The media is controlled by big pharmacy. And I'm not just making that up. We're one of only 2 countries in the world that allows direct to consumer marketing for pharmaceuticals. And the pharmaceutical industry spends, I mean, who knows, 10 billion, 20 billion, 100 billion dollars a year. And you see it. You see it in our culture. We have glamorized inflammation. Turn on a TV show that's based around cooking, and you're going to watch somebody make super pro-inflammatory foods, and then you're going to get assaulted over and over again with drug ads. For what drugs? Just stop eating the inflammatory foods. Just stop. I mean,
that's too simple.
I'm telling y'all, here's the thing. Sleep, stress, toxins, infections, allergens, lack of exercise, bad relationships in your life. If you can handle that, you will be healthier. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. I'm not Pollyanna over here. I understand that there are true genetic illnesses. There just aren't that many. There aren't that many.
Wow. Oh, okay. Wow. I'm taking this in, and I'm going to have to go back and write notes. Since stress is the number one inflammatory factor, do you have any quick, simple tips so people can start to reduce their stress?
Okay. The number one thing that you can do for stress is free and available to you all of the time. Breathe through your nose. That's like the biggest thing. When you breathe through your mouth, you are setting off stress signals in so many different levels of your body. So the nose acts as a filter that's going to help to get rid of any of the potential infectious agents. And when you're breathing and get control of your breath, you calm the stress response on an extremely deep level. So practice 30 seconds a day. You just inhale through your nose and then exhale through your nose. And intentionally slow down the breath. Breathing through your nose is also going to help you to sleep better. It's also going to help you to have normal facial growth. And it is associated with reductions in ADD symptoms. And so I don't think we talk enough about how critically important it is to breathe through the nose. So I love just a simple inhale and exhale. If you want to get a little bit more specialized with your breathing techniques, you can study pranayama, which is the yogic study of breath. Practicing yoga, great way to reduce your stress level. I also love essential oils, especially if you apply essential oils back behind the soft part of your ear where your vagus nerve is running. So, right now you are engaging your vagus nerve, and your vagus nerve is a huge conduit of information for the entire GI tract, for your kidneys. It innervates your entire abdomen. It is the main way that your brain sends relaxation signals down But the vagus nerve it sends more information to the brain than the brain sends to the body. The vagus nerve sends more feedback to the brain. And so if you're constantly, if your heart's constantly racing and if your gut is always twitchy, your brain's getting twitchy too, because your vagus nerve is saying, hey, we're panicked down here. So some of the other breathing techniques, it's not just relaxation breaths that I like. I do love box breathing. You can just make a Y with your fingers, or you can extend your index finger and your middle finger up with your ring finger bent in. This is called deer mudra, and you can just place your hands on your third eye and then use your thumb. If you're right-handed, as I am, then you're going to use your thumb to cover your right nostril. Inhale through the left, close both, exhale to the right, inhale to the right, close both, and then exhale to the left.
That takes some coordination.
It does, but you can just do it this way too, just with your index fingers. It's just, this is the traditional way. You also, like, if you're experiencing anger, that's valid. Emotions are valid. Mm-hmm. So maybe getting into some like lion's roar breath, some of the more empowering breaths that are going to give you a facilitated way to deal with your emotion versus either just dwelling in it, sitting in it, or allowing it to consume you. So having a bad day, just put your hands on your belly, engage your solar plexus chakra, and just take a big inhale deep into your belly, exhale, and swiftly bring your navel back towards your spine. You can even make an audible like ha sound if you want to. Okay. And the lion's roar breath is just like, just get it out. So breath work is great. Yoga is great. Qigong is great. Acupuncture is great. Massage is great. Whatever makes you feel like you are in this moment right here, right now, not anywhere else. If you can just, one of my acupuncturists one time said, why don't you just feel how it feels to feel how it feels? And I just thought that was such brilliant advice, because we are so often out of our body. We're out of our mind, either because of drugs or alcohol, or because of social media, or because we're trying to do 5 things at once while we should be focused on eating the foods. Magnesium supplements, magnesium rich foods also are going to be a huge helper for reducing stress and anxiety. Chewing your food is going to help you on so many levels. I love the work of Janine Roth, who says, look, it's not about what you eat, it's about how you eat it. And I think that is so true. And if your doctor is telling you that calories in equals calories out, and that's why you're not losing weight, they're wrong. If you are struggling to lose weight, it's because you have an inflammation problem, and it could be that stress is at the root of that inflammation. So how can we make eating, as well as the times of not eating in between, a meditation? How do we make that like a part of our self-care? Self-care gets tossed around a lot like it means something, but it's actually a radical act to care for yourself, to love yourself enough to do the hard things. It's a radical act.
It absolutely is. And self-care for me also includes setting appropriate limits with people. Mm-hmm. spouse keeps bringing home cookies and things like that they know aren't good for you, you have to set limits with that. And, I have some issues too. And I've learned to tell my friends and family, no, I can't have that. I don't want any, so care is definitely setting limits as well. So, oh my gosh. Okay. I could talk to you all day, but I know you don't
Thank
have
you.
all day.
Aw.
You are amazing. Thank you so much. So how can the audience learn more about you?
So you can head to lindsayelmore.com, follow me on social media. I'm at Lindsey Elmore, LindseyElmore, on Instagram and Facebook, and Dr. Lindsey Elmore, that's Dr. Lindsey Elmore, on Pinterest. And you can also listen to the Lindsey Elmore Show anywhere that you listen to podcasts.
Yes, you just started a podcast, so congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, we started about a year ago, and it is astonishing that I thought podcasts just kind of magically happened. But there's a whole lot of work involved in doing a podcast. It is a labor of love. And so, yes, come and check it out. We've got some beautiful interviews coming up soon. The Gerald Posner interview that I mentioned is coming up soon. Dr. Will Cole is coming in to talk about intuitive fasting and making eating meditation. And so
I can't wait for those to come out.
Yeah.
And you did one. I listened to the one with Dr. Gottfield.
Dr. Gottfried, Sarah Gottfried.
Yes. That was absolutely fascinating.
Oh, I mean, I do love podcasting, and this fall I'm also hosting a metabolic makeover summit, and doing these interviews, you learn so much. Like you told me earlier, you'd never heard of stains. I interviewed Sarah Gottfried, and I had never heard of ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, which are making all of us chronically ill. Yes. And we need to deal with them. And, it made me really, really understand that not being able to get over the crappy things that happen to you in childhood is a universal human experience. And if you happen to come from a background where there's a whole bunch of generational trauma, that is a human experience that we need to talk about more. It's perfectly normal for you to still feel the pain of divorce and seeing somebody in your home get abused. That's totally, totally normal. And you can shift that energy into a forgiving and loving space. And if you can do that, if you can take that radical act of caring for yourself, you undo the generational traumas for your children and your children's children and your children's children. I want you to think about passing down health as we think about passing down money and as we think about passing down assets, because epigenetics is real and you can pull those generational traumas away, transmute them, just give them back to the earth or give them back to the universe. And then your children do not have to have that trauma. And yeah, and I've researched for hours and hours after that interview with Dr. Gottfried. She's absolutely phenomenal.
As are you.
Thanks.
As are you. Thank you so much for your time, for your information. And everyone, please go to lindsayelmore.com and learn more about what she does and check out her books and her cleanse and just everything. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
Thank you. Thank you again for tuning in to this episode of the Glen Alex Show with Dr. Lindsey Elmore. I hope you found our conversation as fascinating as I did. And wherever you tuned in, please like, subscribe, and share. And you can order your copy of the 2021 Indie Book Award winning Living in Total Health from my website, glenalex.com, or it is available on Amazon from my Amazon distributor, Book CH148. Thank you. Please allow me to leave you with this nourishing thought. Dr. Frank Littman said, "Health is more than merely the absence of disease. It is a total state of physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and social well being." You know what? Dr. Littman is right. The typical understanding of health is limited. Real health is total health because total health embraces all of you, it embraces your whole self. And total health aligns your mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual aspects so you can function at the highest level, so you can laugh from the depths of your belly, so you can love from the bottom of your heart, and so you can connect with others soul to soul. That sounds like the most meaningful, the most fulfilling, the most joyful life ever to me. And I hope it does to you as well. To learn more about total health, please read my blog, The 5 Pillars of Total Health, on glenalex.com. And until next time, be well.
Your health